Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneier. That's Nick Falato. And yes, you can hear some excitement in my voice because I was down. I was down in the dumps after that Sunday night game, Nick. It was just a disgrace at the stadium. I'll be honest with you. The film was a slog on the offensive side of the ball. I think everyone who watched knows that. And it was dire times for the Giants. But now we get the news that we've been waiting for. It's the start of the Jaxson Dart era. There's reason to watch this football team again on the offensive side of the ball. There's reason to focus on this football team, regardless of their record. They're 0-3 right now, the Giants. Playoffs seem like afar, but it's not about that anymore. It's about the development of their rookie first-round quarterback. So what was your first thought when you heard the news today that Dart was starting?
My first thought was selfish. My first thought was, oh, no, I'm too busy. I can't jump on and talk to all of these fine people about the excitement that is in my body right now because I want to watch Jaxson Dart play some football. I wanted this attempt to revitalize this corpse of a season that's yet to see September 24th. So we
get you using the word corpse correctly.
Yeah, that's a throwback to the OGs. I love that, Dan. But yeah, no, that was my first. And then it was, hey, I'm not surprised. And I tweeted that when I could. I was like, hey, I'm not surprised by this because the Giants looked that bad offensively against the Chiefs. And I think Dan Duggan, beat reporter Dan Duggan of The Athletic, had a great tweet summarizing this whole thing. The red zone outcome in the game against the Chiefs, the throwing out of the back of the end zone, those 2 or 3 plays, that was akin to Daniel Jones last year in Germany with some of those misses.
Flea flicker,
and I was like,
flea flicker,
yes,
said, right?
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's also out of desperation, which I don't love, but I think it's safe to say the Giants definitely need something if we're going to salvage this season at all. Dart has comported himself well through training camp and preseason. I'm not going to take all of the positive vibes about him fully. I'm not saying there's negative vibes, but I'm not going to sit there and read too much into it because you know that some of that stuff is leaked out deliberately to conjure up positive vibes about the pick that this general manager and head coach selected. But overall, man, it was time, and the chapter has now turned to Jaxson Dart. It's his team, and let's hope it kindles something, dude.
Yeah, and I think the narrative that has surrounded this move on most of Giants Twitter is, wow, they're panicking. Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, they need to do anything they can to try to keep their jobs. I'm not so sure I believe that. Something that I mentioned to you, Nick, in the preseason multiple times and throughout was, I think there's other scenarios that Dart could play this season earlier than people expect. It's not just, are they out of the playoffs? It's, does this coaching staff feel like he gives them the best chance to win? And I honestly do believe that right now they feel that way. Maybe they feel they'll lose a little bit from just checks, getting them into the right plays, understanding what defenses are showing. There will probably be some hot reads that Dart misses. There's probably going to be some frustrating sacks where he just doesn't see the pass rush coming. There's probably going to be some deep throws that aren't as on target as Russell Wilson's were. But there's also going to hopefully be a real step forward for this team in the red zone and on third downs. And that's what Duggan was talking about. And if you look at all the numbers, Giants have been a nightmare in the red zone. The Giants have been a nightmare on third downs. I saw a tweet earlier today. The Giants are the third worst or the second worst team besides, I forgot who was dead last now. It's the Falcons are third worst. Penix has been a nightmare so far this year.
And you talk about in red zone?
In red zone scoring.
Houston.
Yeah.
It's Houston.
Houston has 0 touchdowns. And this is just in converted red zone trips to touchdowns. The Giants were actually up near the top of the pack, Nick, like top 11, top 12 in red zone trips. They were just third or second worst in red zone touchdowns. And that's a big reason they haven't won any games yet. If they score 7 instead of 3, we all know the math, they're going to have a better chance to win the games. And I think this coaching staff honestly does believe, Nick, that Dart gives them a better chance to score in the red zone than Russell Wilson does. As far as third downs go, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, the red zone has just been, it's been abysmal this season with Russell Wilson. It wasn't like that necessarily in training camp at all. And it wasn't, it was something that, we were like, hey, maybe Russell Wilson will be able to put some touch over the top and thrive with ball placement. He's not throwing moon balls when he's in the red zone, but thrive with decision-making and ball placement. And it was the exact opposite from what we saw. And if you look at the offense with Russell Wilson, bringing in the package, the inverted wishbone with Jaxson Dart, and some of those run plays were some of the best offensive plays the Giants have had. So at this point, let's see what he can do when he throws the football, and he's more of a threat from that manner. And your rushing attack, which we've said and contended for a while, Dan, is pretty stale, hasn't generated a lot of push at the point of attack. Now you add the element of the backside threat. You hold those backside defenders with the threat of the zone read and the option off the legs of Jaxson Dart. So that will also help your rushing attack. The RPO game, I think, will be heavily leaned on as well. We might see a more college style approach. And we're going to get to Igor's question a little later. Remember, if you guys want a question answered about anything, about Jaxson Dart, whatever, please submit a super chat and we will read your question and go back and forth on whatever it is that you say. So, but I do think this could, and it's crazy to say, but be an upgrade to this offense, because the offense, again, is 31st in some really powerful metrics.
And I honestly do believe this isn't just out of panic from these two.
No, neither do I. Neither do I. And now I understand why
we're alone in thinking that, I believe, honestly, Nick. I think
most people disagree. I think it's two things. I think it is out of desperation and panic to a degree, but not solely out of desperation and panic, if that makes any sense,
same.
Right?
I agree with that.
Like it's not like this is Tyler Shuck and you're just like, we need to try something different. I think the offense will fundamentally change, and that is what this offense and this team needs at the moment. But if the Giants were winning football games, they wouldn't be as desperate and they wouldn't have to make this move per se.
Correct.
But the fact that they are 0-3 provides a level of desperation that will lead them to the facilitation of Jaxson Dart starting. But that does not mean necessarily that the offense is going to suffer or that Jaxson Dart will be lost, because I still think there are certain things that Brian Daboll may be able to lean upon that will put Jaxson Dart in this offense in a better position to score than Russell Wilson was able to do.
Yeah, sure. And I think that maybe if it's desperation, it's more so for the season at 0-3, because obviously the stats and numbers suggest if you start 0-3, you're unlikely to make the playoffs. But that's not how these teams evaluate this, and that's not how these teams go about things. They are looking to win one game at a time and then stack wins. And in today's NFL, with an extra game, it also, I kind of throw out those stats of like what teams make the playoffs at 0-3, because weird things have happened. There's 7 wild card spots and you have a ton of games left of football. So I honestly do believe they think desperately that this maybe it's a desperate thought, but they think they can be better offense with Jaxson Dart and win more football games with Jaxson Dart. It's not the worst thought. Like, not only was Russ just really abysmal in the red zone, that's where it surprised me the most, Nick, because of the success that he was having in the summer there. I thought his veteran I thought his veteran, having seen so much of so many different looks in the red zone as a quarterback throughout playing this many years, he'd be able to anticipate better and get the ball out. There's just no anticipation. There's no anticipatory throws that I was impressed with Russ in the entire red zone this season. That's 3 games and a large sample size. That can't be worse with Dart. It just can't be, let alone what you mentioned. The zone read in the run game in the red zone is a guarantee to get better, taking Russell Wilson off the field and putting Jaxson Dart on the field. That's a stone block.
And he was also inaccurate in the red zone. Like, he wasn't like the first read was, even if the first read was there, I felt like he was still a little bit indecisive and tentative, bailed on pockets he didn't necessarily need to, tried to do a little bit too much on certain plays, but then didn't do enough on other plays, even with like plays. And I put this at the feet of Theo Johnson as well, but that might have been a touchdown in week 1 when he has that RPO and he hits Theo Johnson in the hands. But
that was the best anticipatory throw the entire year, I thought.
No. I'm not talking about that.
Not the one from the left.
I'm talking about when Theo was running the flat and it was a drop, and we all blame Theo. And week 1, did I not say week 1 or
you did? I was thinking of the week 2 one.
Oh, my bad. But so I still say, Theo, you got to catch it, but that was not great ball. Like, a quarterback needs to do a better job to put his receiver in a position to secure the football as well.
Sure.
So like, even when he reads it perfectly, he hasn't been crisp in the red zone. It's been a significant step down from the previous seasons that Russell Wilson have seen in the red zone as well. And the fact that the Giants can't run the football definitely compounds that, which, as we said earlier, Jaxson Dart should help facilitate the rushing attack just off his legs alone.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's another factor that will come to play. The real thing, the thing I wonder about, will it change, is the Giants simply weren't utilizing a big part of their playbook, and a big part of any play caller's playbook, whether it's Kafka's scheme or Daboll's scheme or whoever's calling the plays and whoever scheme it is, the middle of the field. And that's just something that you couldn't really do with Russell Wilson. And there were opportunities. There was one play we didn't go over in our film review that I just kept coming back to. And I saw a few people clip it and put it on Twitter, where Russ just bailed from the pocket. And there was an inbreaker with Malik that you got to sit in the pocket and you got to stay in there. And that's one thing I saw a lot in the preseason from Jaxson Dart. I saw a combination of two things. One, his ability to reset the pocket with subtle movements and good lateral agility and lower body movement skills. And then two, stay in the pocket, specifically on that one deep post against the Bills. I believe it was the Bills preseason game. Know he's going to take a hit and still deliver the football on target in the middle of the field. That's something we just didn't see once from Russell Wilson. And honestly speaking, we weren't going to see it very often, if at all, from Russell Wilson this year. Now, the question is, that's preseason. This is the real games and this is the real defense, and they're finally scheming things. So that one, I'm a little less sure of. I know he's going to improve their red zone offense. It can't get worse. I know he's going to improve their red zone run game and run game overall. Deep ball, I'm a little concerned with. I thought Russ was very good in that regard. And then it's just kind of the middle of the field. Will he be able to see it fast and get rid of the ball fast?
Exactly. And look, man, this isn't the easiest matchup for Jaxson Dart.
Well, that's the big thing. Yeah, this is
going up. It is a 1 o'clock start. How much do you put into that? It's a little bit difficult to tell, but a 1 o'clock start for a West Coast coming to East Coast team. Sometimes there's slow starts and the schedule and their internal clocks get a little bit messed up. True. But if you look at what the Chargers defense has done against some good quarterbacks, it's concerning, man. They're shutting down the passing attack, the drop back passing attack. They're one of the best in the league, I think, at shutting that down.
Number one, I believe, in EPA.
Yeah, number one in EPA. I think they allow like 182 passing yards per game, which is top 10. So their drop back passing attack, that's going to be an issue. So what does that tell me? It's going to be quick again, man. Now, I don't think Khalil Mack's going to be ready for this game. Don't quote me on that, but that's something that we have to monitor as well. So if they're if they're really good against drop back passing attacks, and Jaxson Dart operated the offense that he operated at Ole Miss, while also you had what the Giants did with Jaxson Dart all throughout preseason and training, I think it's going to be a lot of RPO. Give Jaxson Dart, read a defender, put a defender in conflict. Whatever that defender does, you do the opposite, pick up a few yards, and then try to work the running attack, set up the play action, and we'll have that type of approach.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about that, Nick. I still think we'll see a ton of RPO. A resuming of some of the stuff we saw in 2022 with boot action and just the things they used to get Daniel Jones on the move and throwing the football, because Jaxson Dart, in my mind at least, on his tape at Ole Miss was excellent at throwing the football on the move. He's able to change his arm slots. And one thing that we talked about a lot in the preseason, Nick, and I know the timing has been really off, at least with this quarterback, and I don't think it's all on the quarterback, but Dart's ability to change arm slots the way he has led to 2 unbelievable screen passes in the preseason where if it wasn't for Jaxson Dart, neither of those plays were successful. Now, there was a lot of space after the screen, and it was a preseason defense that's not scheming. But I hope we see the screen game become a part of the Giants' offense and break off 2, maybe 3 big screens in this game. Now, Chargers aren't going to blitz a crazy amount, but at least I don't think they will. They don't need to. But it's something that the Giants can hopefully time up right and utilize Dart's skill set there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then hopefully with Dart being a quarterback who's not reluctant to let it rip when the Giants do dial up some of the 5-step drops and some of the play action 7-step drops, even if the Giants did do that, which they don't do often at all. He will pull the trigger and he will let it rip, and hopefully that ball will be thrown with anticipation, on target, leading the receiver, allowing the receiver to run underneath the football, a la what Russell Wilson did in week 2.
Yeah, and then the hope that in addition to all of that, Nick, at least the hope for us, and this may not happen right away against the Chargers or whatever it may be, but the hope is we also see just more broken plays, those fun stuff you see from Mahomes when we're watching the game tape and we're like, wow, the Chiefs offense really didn't have much success from a drop back standpoint in structure. But when Mahomes got out of the pocket and played out of structure, he made some of his biggest plays against the Giants. Well, one of the biggest plays of Dart's entire preseason was that Gunnar Olszewski 50-yard throw where he gets out of the pocket, is on the move, and fires that ball in with really good velocity in a 3/4 arm slot. And I was like, all right, like, I'm trying to think, but was there one of those plays from Russ in the 3 games that I'm not remembering? Probably not,
A
right?
play, no, there's not one that's coming to my mind right now. Not at least to that degree. It depends. Are you talking about just breaking the pocket and then finding a receiver for a big
Add a
game?
structure Mahomes type play, yeah, which is what that was, honestly. A lot of people comp that play to a Mahomes like play, that gunner play.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great one.
It'd be fun to get those.
It's gonna be fun to get those. Hopefully, we get those. I'm wondering what the Chargers are going to do to try to stop this. Might be tight, man. I think a lot of things are going to be tied up on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to say, all right, let's see if the rookie will pull the trigger. And
I wonder if, like, I know it's probably impossible in today's NFL, but I wonder if the Giants could have kept this in-house and not leaked it because obviously the Chargers have a major advantage if they know Jaxson Dart is playing versus Russell Wilson. I'm sure in today's NFL it's just impossible. The Giants beat would have been all over it and whatnot, but I just wonder if they could have waited a little bit longer. I don't know, but it's probably for the players as well to get it out early. But I had a little back and forth with, do you remember Braden Fiocco? He was a former defensive lineman for the Chargers.
I do.
Yeah, so he's now getting into the content game, and we had a little back and forth, and I actually reached out to him after that. I want to try to get him on the podcast to break down some DT tape, but he basically said, pray for Jaxson Dart, and he said, look, I'm not saying I don't like Jaxson Dart. He said, I actually love Jaxson Dart as a prospect, but he's saying this is the stone worst first matchup for him. Like, I don't think people realize, one, how good the Chargers defense has been, and two, how good Minter has been as defensive coordinator. He's a very hot candidate for a head coaching cycle this coming offseason for good reason. The Chargers have a lot of talent. They have my boy Deion Henley, who I think is going to wreak havoc in this game and just show Giants fans what it's like to actually have talent and speed and athleticism at the second level of your defense, something I've wanted for years. And so that's the one like, I get it from the standpoint of your 0-3. You need to do anything you can to get a win, and it's a home game. So you're giving Dart a home game to start. But this is why I kind of tweeted out earlier, like, I almost in some ways wish they would have waited for the Saints game somewhat.
No, I agree with that point. But I think the Russell Wilson experience was over.
Yeah,
and now this is where it goes down to, there was another veteran quarterback that you brought in here. Now, people might view that as it's not doing Jameis Winston justice. And it's like, okay, that could be fair, but Jameis Winston, I'm sure, wants to play football and get tape out there. You know, he was brought in here to do that, so he would have done that against this defense. So that is certainly a concern. This could be very bad. Like, we could on Sunday, and this is a realistic possibility, be like, guys, what the heck? Like, this could be a decision where it's like, dude, you pull the rug out now. I mean, Merrill would not, but it could look that way. It really could. And the only thing that's changed the motivation or the outlook on the Giants right now is inserting this rookie quarterback who just turned 22 years old not that long ago into a situation against one of the best defenses in the league. That is the flip side. Now, there's excitement because we want to see Jaxson Dart, because we understood that if we rolled Russell Wilson out there against the Chargers, it would have been probably the same exact thing that we've seen 2 out of 3 weeks. And now this gives us maybe hope that something different can actually come out of that insanity that we've experienced. But that is a little pie in the sky. But hopefully there are changes to the offense that Russell Wilson would have not been able to execute upon with a younger quarterback back there. But it could be rough as well. It really could. I hope Andrew Thomas plays the entire game.
Well, that's the other thing. We heard last week it was the Giants' plan to have Andrew Thomas play just 25 snaps. Weird plan, whatever. I guess it's Ronnie Barnes' plan. I've personally just never really heard of a plan like that. But you did a cut up of it, Nick, and we watched it on the tape. Andrew Thomas looked freaking good on tape. Man. And there's no sign, at least in the post-game pressers or anything from the beat reporters, that he had a setback in this game. There's no sign that he left the game sore and needs some time off. We'll get our information tomorrow when practices start. And then Thursday, I'm just hoping he's full participant back to back. I think the Giants would be very foolish to put Dart in if Thomas is not ready to play. Marcus Bowe did not look great in the second game. I still think he could be fine, better than Hudson, but you want Andrew Thomas in if you're going to put in your rookie first-round quarterback for the whole game. I mean,
100%. And if it's not, you're relying, and you look at the Giants' offense, and this is why this could be a bloodbath. Marcus Bowe, a fifth-round pick, starting significant snaps at left tackle, a rookie quarterback making his first start against one of the best defenses in the league, and Cam Scatterbo is like your offensive lightning rod, not named Malik Neighbors, who was a rookie day 3 running back, who we all like. Right. That's the reality of the situation if the Giants can't get Malik Neighbors going, and he's just a second-year player too. And behind Malik, I like Darius Slayton, but he's not the catalyst to an offense. You have Wandale underneath and Theo Johnson, who's been a disappointment. So laying that all out at the feet of Kevin Minter's defense, you're like, oh, gee, God, it's going to be a rough one, like, so keep that one in mind as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I see in the chat, someone said, I absolutely love the thumbnail. I love the thumbnail too. Shout out Padded Room Memes for the thumbnail. This is one of the coolest things I think we've ever had on this show, just from my perspective. Though I did have to talk with Nick pre-show about it because I'm, as of course any of you could have predicted, he's somehow never seen Star Wars, the originals, and didn't even know, like, I spoiled something for, like, first of all, it's not a spoiler to tell him about who Anakin actually is. Like, he's like, oh, you're spoiled. You love spoiling things. No. Star Wars cannot be spoiled. It's out.
Big spoil guy right now. Big spoil guy right here.
Spoiled. Star Wars is not a thing that can be spoiled. By the way, one bone to pick before we get back to the show. And please, everybody, if you want to help us grow the show, hit the like button right now. We need you to hover your hand over that mouse and click like. If you're watching this and you're not liking this, that's a huge problem for us. Like and comment. But I saw something on the mailbag show. One quick thing. Did you possibly say last episode when we were talking about music in one of the questions, did you say, because one of the listeners thought he heard you say this, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt if you say the answer is no. Did you say, when referencing the Grateful Dead, Gary Garcia?
No.
Okay.
Jerry, Jerry Garcia.
Okay.
I mean, so I do speak quickly, but I know who he is. Yes.
I knew you knew that one. And I think that was just you spoke quickly, and then someone in the comments picked up on that and thought they heard the word Gary. But I just need to make sure for my own personal well-being. And now that we've done that, let's get back to the show here. So with the Chargers, look, this is going to be probably, in my mind, the most difficult matchup of the season. You could argue Fangio and the Eagles is a more difficult matchup, but the way they're playing this year, I don't think they're the same defense they were at the end of last year. The Chargers are playing better defense right now than the Eagles were playing at this point of the season. So then you look past the schedule. It's going to be tough against Robert Salah. That one's coming up, but the Niners have some vulnerabilities in their defense, despite my massive respect for Robert Salah. It's really a gauntlet of games coming up for the Giants from a defensive standpoint, with the exception of the Saints game. But maybe the Giants looked at it, Nick, like, yes, we understand we could hold him one more week and play him against the Saints, but no, we need to put forward our season right now. We're 0-3, and we think he gives us the best chance to win. And I have to respect that from a coach's standpoint.
I do. I do as well. But again, the coach is backed up against a wall at this point too, which is never the situation you want to find yourself in. But I tend to agree with your overall assessment. As we said a little bit earlier, man, it's going to be tough for Jaxson Dart against this Chargers defense. It's going to be tough for the Giants offense. It's going to be tough for the Giants defense, frankly.
Yeah, we don't even have to get into the defense right now because, man, I was just like watching. I have so many all 22 film and analysts now are populating my home feed on Twitter, which I'm so happy about. I think you can so first of all, I think anyone who's on Twitter these days knows that, like, in my opinion, they purposely put political shit in your feed, even if you don't like anything or care about anything, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. I guess that's how the algorithm works, because I haven't liked any of this crap, but I'm just getting a ton of it. But outside of that, I've tailored it to get a ton of film people on there. And all throughout this week, Nick, I've seen cut-ups of Indy's defense with Anarumo, Seattle's defense with McDonald, and a few others. And they're just doing so many interesting, unique things on passing downs, dude. Like crazy, unique things that are fun and they work. And then I'm like, wait a second, is Shane Bowen just going to line up and play his shit defense again against Justin Herbert, who they finally unleashed? Like, they're finally take the training wheels off Herbert. Greg Roman's like, I'm Greg Roman. All I want to do is run the ball, but I have Justin Herbert. I can't possibly do this. And they're like top 10 in pass rate over expected, Nick. They're actually passing the ball finally, letting him run the offense. And he's lights out because he's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, and I wonder how the Giants are going to look to play against that too. Like I know this is the Jaxson Dart show, but you played a lot of cover one against Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton. They have Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, who is now a good receiver, playing well, and Keenan Allen. And then they have this tight end who came out of nowhere too.
Gadsden
doesn't play
from Syracuse,
yeah, exactly. So like they have you're probably going to see more too high, and it could be a lot of Amari and Hampton on the ground now that Najee
We're
is
definitely going to
unfortunately
play a
hurt.
too high game plan. I feel like against Herbert.
I think you have to. Yeah, it's now they didn't against Mahomes, but again, that was more of an indictment on the wide receivers in there.
Yeah, and you made a good point about that in our film review. By the way, check out our film reviews if you haven't already. Hit the like button, leave comments right now to support the show. And I will say this: the good news on that front, and we'll do more of this in our preview. I'm hoping to actually get him on to maybe preview the Chargers, but if not, we might do our own. But the Chargers have been third worst, or either third or second worst in yards created as an offensive line. They're just an absolute nightmare in the run game right now from a blocking standpoint, as actually worse than the Giants. They're one of the few teams, the Raiders, the Chargers, and one other I can't remember. It's just an absolute nightmare in creating. So I think the Giants can actually sit in too high from a run standpoint and be fine, which is a good thing, right, Nick? If you're a defensive coordinator at any point, you're like, I can play too high and still stop the run. That's a good thing. Cool. But I'd love Bowen to do some other things to stop the pass game, because I have confidence that we'll stop the run game despite not allocating a lot of men in the box. But I have no confidence that playing too high is going to help us stop their pass game, because I don't really believe in the way that he calls the defense, Shane Bowen. So we'll see.
We will see.
Yeah, let's talk Dart, though. Let's talk Dart. So we talked about playing him in this matchup, talked about what he could offer in the middle of the field, the screen game, changing those arm slots in the red zone. Maybe we see more of that 2022 offense with Daniel Jones, the design bootlegs, different things of that nature. I think your call on the RPOs is spot on. I think we'll see a ton of early RPOs. The question is, who's going to run that with? Is it going to be Slayton? Or is it going to be Neighbors? Like, I think a lot of people want to see Neighbors as the main guy there.
I agree. I think a lot of it will just depend on how Minter plays the defense, the chess match of that. And that will all be one thing I like about the Giants offense is the wide receivers are interchangeable, not from a skill set standpoint, but something Dable always praises Slayton and Wandale for is that they know all of the, like you hear Dable say that. Because remember, Dable has a very complex offense. You need to be a smart wide receiver to play in this offense. And he always compliments a lot of these guys saying, hey, they know all of the roles. So if you have RPOs designed to Neighbors and they're playing it a certain way to remove Neighbors, you could just switch Wandale or Darius in there, and then they can possibly have success. It's probably just going to be a lot of simple glance routes, like slant, a lot of like just quick hitch flat, go into the mesh point, pull it, and then you have the tight end in the flat. That's something that Kafka has run in the red zone a few times throughout his tenure here as the New York Giants play caller. So I think it'll just be a lot of quick, get the football out of his hands, try to possess the football, try to tire out the defense, keep Justin Herbert on the sidelines.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing that we will also see that we haven't seen a lot of this year, we've seen some of it, just not a lot of it. And I think this is a lot considering, one, the Giants are at home, which makes this a lot easier to do. And two, we saw it in the preseason. We're going to see more up-tempo, more no huddle, more go, go, go with Jaxson Dart, because I know Dable believes that's going to give him an edge just being a rookie quarterback. And I know that's something that he did already. And at home, it helps you a lot as well to be able to do that. Being at home helps. So I think we'll be on the lookout for that as well.
And another thing, man, like, I don't know if we're going to run, and it's not like we're running 12 personnel a ton, but we might see a little bit more 11, right?
True.
A little bit more 11 personnel, and you can run 11 personnel much easier if you have your star left tackle out there for the entire game. And Marcus Bowe's out there. You're probably going to want that tight end on that side to help.
I got to hope and think that Andrew Thomas is going to play the entire game this next game. I mean, I don't know what the Giants' plan is for him, quote unquote. It kind of just depends on how he feels and how he came out of that game, which we'll never know because Brian Dable is not really a big detail guy when it comes to the injuries on the Giants front. You just have to kind of guess your way to it. Did we mention yet that Younghoe is now the Giants kicker?
Talk about it. Signed to the practice squad. So
I'm pretty nervous about this dude. He kind of has guys like one of these confident shot kind of guys.
I mean, he might be, but he was one of the best kickers in the league for a while.
I know.
I mean, he was cutting the guy who they brought in missed what, like 2 kicks
in
his second game. So you know how kickers can be, but
I
would rather sign a guy like that who has a proven track record. Hopefully he gets back on track and yeah. Is he confirmed to be the starter?
Just practice squad so far.
Yeah. I was gonna say I didn't hear that part. All right, awesome.
Though I think it's likely in that point. In this Gano developing situation with the Giants is really a knock on Joe Schoen, if we're going to be honest about the situation. The cap space we've allocated to him, his age, his injury history, really just not forward thinking by the Giants whatsoever in this regard. I think Sal, shout out Sal, not the content creator, who's co-host of the He's a Giant pod. Check it out. Great show. covering prospects early in the process, like now, like September and October, when Nick and I are like, we can't even get our eyes. We don't even have time to do everything we want from an NFL standpoint. He said, the Giants could have easily just drafted Fitzgerald in round 7 for, 200, 300, 400K against the cap at kicker. Sure, he would have done as good a job as Gano, and he wouldn't have been injured for a game. It's just really bad management by Schoen, and it's a constant, unfortunately. But we'll fight through that, and I think that's kind of a question that people will want us to answer, Nick. We can get to super chat questions in a moment, and hopefully I'm not jumping the gun, and this is one that is going to be asked. But, where are you at on the meter of what Jaxson Dart does the rest of the season and how it is tied to your thoughts on this current regime, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, and should they be part of this team's future?
I mean, if Jaxson Dart struggles and the Giants suck
I think that way is obvious. Let's go the other way. I mean,
okay, so let's say the Giants are able to make a real playoff push.
No. Okay, let me phrase this. I'm not giving you the right scenario that I'm wondering about, because I think if they make the playoffs, they'll both be back. How about Jaxson Dart looks good, but Daboll mismanages a game here and there. Daboll does something that, as we've seen.
Who are your options, man? Who are your options? And this is something that the Giants should know, right? Like, who would be willing? And I'm sure they have channels, agents, all this kind of stuff. Who would be willing to take this job and be willing to work with Jaxson Dart? If you're talking about someone like a John Gruden, I would definitely be interested in that. Because again, if Brian Daboll is messing up and he's not managing the game like a head coach should, and it's just Jaxson Dart elevating the ship, rising the tide, then I think you need to dispense with Daboll. But that's what I think. I thought the Giants should get rid of Daboll after the last season. They didn't. I don't think this ownership will do that. I think if Jaxson Dart is if Jaxson Dart is winning football games for the Giants, I think everybody's safe.
I think that's a fair way to go about it. It's going to be tough for him to win football games for the Giants, though, given their schedule. So it is what it is on that front. Maybe he will, and if he does, you're right. They are easily safe, I think. But if they're not, but he's looking good, that's when it gets a little tricky, because that's when I think the case will be made by Mara that they need to keep them on board, because they need to do anything they can to not screw this kid up as they did to the last one. So if that's the question, if that's their train of thought, then we're going to be moving forward with these guys. And I have major question marks about both. Daboll, we've talked about him at length. Schoen, to me, is a really I'm just not feeling good at all about Schoen. The development of Phillips and Newbin, all his draft picks, the cap allocation, this offseason's moves, the Russell Wilson signing, even in its own right. I understand at the time you don't know that you're going to be able to draft Jaxson Dart, but man, I would have been perfectly fine just getting one of the best bargains in free agency in Jameis Winston. And that's essentially what it was. They got him for 2 years, 8.5, and just playing it smart and using that cap space for D-line and O-line, which they obviously clearly needed.
I'm not going to chastise Joe Schoen for that move. I was heavily advocating for Joe Schoen to sign and 2 guys and draft. And that's exactly what it did. I think that's what I wanted them to do. Now, we're 3 games into the season, and it hasn't made a difference with Russell Wilson, so it doesn't look great. But I supported that, and I
might have been supporting it at the time. So I want to make it clear that looking back on it now, Nick, I take back that support, and I declare myself as wrong, because the season was not hinged at all on if we can get Russell Wilson or not, in my opinion. We weren't a Super Bowl contender, so he's kind of just a pure waste, in my opinion, from a cap standpoint. And I look at the roster now, and we're up against the cap. I think we have like the 3rd least cap space this year. And I look at that $10.5 million, and I say, I wouldn't really care if he wasn't here. A, he's now probably done for the year and not playing again, and it's only week 4. And B, we don't have cap space, and yet that 10 or 11 million or whatever it was probably could have helped us on the O-line or D-line. So I think I was wrong about that at the time. I would have been fine just rolling out Jameis for a year if we couldn't get Dart. And it's a wasted year anyway. We might as well have tried to improve other areas of the roster, is how I look at it.
Yeah, no, I'm still fine with that signing.
Yeah, it's all good. But he's done now. I can't imagine Russ plays another down with us. I think there's even a chance he gets traded or cut this season at this point, and they roll with Jameis. Right now, that's not the case. The Russell Wilson, I believe, is the number 2, and Jameis is still the number 3 as it stands currently. So
should be interesting. I'm going to look up if the Giants can get out. The dead cap is 11 million. So So I don't know if they'd cut that.
Yeah, I think if they trade him, though, that's how they get around that.
Yes.
If a
now,
team is willing
the
to
Saints, you could trade him right now. Trade him right now so Russell Wilson can start against the Giants in 2 weeks.
I wouldn't care about that, but there's no real team that wants him, I think, is the biggest issue as it stands currently. So the Saints, Rattlers actually played pretty well. I think they're going to let him ride out much better than anyone could have expected. Everyone says the Bengals, but they trust Browning. Browning knows the system. I highly doubt they're trading for Russ. They just saw him in the division last year and know his limitations. So then it's like the Vikings, but somehow O'Connell's been able to get some decent game. Like that Wentz, he found some stuff with Wentz that it should be impossible. Now Wentz took a ton of sacks. He's Carson Wentz, but he is like a dead quarterback. He shouldn't be playing for any team. And he found a way to generate some yardage with him, O'Connell. It's really impressive what he does from a schematic standpoint. And then obviously it's Purdy and Mac Jones, who are both kind of injured at the time. That's like a possibility, but I highly doubt that Shanahan would do that either. So I just don't see a market for him.
No, yeah, there might not be. So this is going to be like really testing Russell Wilson. Like you're going to be a backup for this rookie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's always been, a good guy, says the right things, all that. So, and I'm not saying he won't do that in this situation, but this is a completely different animal than Russ has had to deal with.
Good point. Yeah,
other than what happened in Denver. But that was different than this situation.
Yeah, later in the season too. It was like week 13 or week 14. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too worried about that though. I don't think it should impact Jaxson Dart to a major extent or the team. But as far as Dart goes, man, it's going to be exciting just to watch this throughout the year. This first matchup, I think you're probably right. I need to temper my expectation. We all do, because they're facing probably what I believe will be the most difficult defense of the year for them matchup wise, at least coming into this game. The way they're playing, the Chargers have been the best, if not the second best defense in the NFL. And this is the hot defensive coordinator candidate. And like you said, the teams haven't really even thrown for 200 against them. Bo Nix, what was it, 154 last week? Like no one's really throwing against them. So it could just be a slow start for Dart, and that's fine. But I'm just excited, Nick, to have film on him. We get to like watch these all 22s of our rookie quarterback, and that alone is so valuable and brings so much joy to me, because I did feel grinded out a little bit by the idea of like watching bad Russ games over and over again at 0-3. And it's very nice for me to now think about this going into tonight and the next few days. I don't have to do that, and we don't have to do that.
Yes, I'm right there with you. Let's get to some supers. Igor, thank you so much, Igor. He asks, what's your realistic ceiling of what Dable Dart can accomplish? I fear that even if Dart is the next Herbert, Dable is Brandon Staley. And if so, what's the point of keeping Dable next season? We kind of addressed this a little bit, but I want to attack the realistic ceiling of what Dable and Dart can accomplish. Realistic ceiling. Look, man, Dable has not shown that much. Dable got a decent amount out of Daniel Jones when the NFL did not have a lot of tape on that combination. So I would say the ceiling, and this is the ceiling, is a 2022-like offense with more explosive plays.
Okay, that's cool.
But with a worse rushing attack, you do not have Saquon Barkley.
True. And guess despite having more talent, a worse defense, right? Like I just don't, there's so much more talent defensively, the Giants this year in my mind than 2022, but I just think this coordinator sucks, and Wink was awesome. I know Wink wasn't that awesome, but he was unique at least.
And that year they didn't have any interceptions in that year either.
No,
like, it was a bunch of fumbles
unlucky with interceptions, yes.
But they forced like such like opportunistic fumbles. Like Xavier McKinney punching the ball out of Travis Etienne's hands, like right as he goes across the goal line. Kayvon Thibodeau strip sacking Lamar Jackson. There was a lot of plays like that, but they didn't intercept any. It was like last year; they had no interceptions. It is frustrating though. On paper, from a talent perspective, it's light years better. Right now.
Yeah, we have so much more talent. But part of what made that defense successful at times, I know it had some bad moments too, but part of it was just the simulated pressures, Nick, that we discussed and broke down every week, and confusing quarterbacks and putting them in bad spots. And obviously we've tried some blitzes this year. I think Bobby Skinner said it best. I had a conversation with him earlier. He's like, the Giants will probably be around the top of the league in blitz rate this year because of Abdul Carter playing off-ball linebacker. But he's like, don't confuse that with a team that has personality of sending different pressure looks. He said it's the most lineup and play defense he's ever seen. And I don't think that's too far off from what we've seen through the first 3 weeks.
It 100% is spot on.
And it's not
what we've talked about on every single one of our all 22 shows. Yeah. It's just like, dude, it's just unimaginative. There's no creativity. It's just,
how does he get away with it? It's crazy that he's a coordinator in the NFL like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think a lot of people wanted him. I don't think the Giants really wanted Shane Bowen to be their coordinator, but who wanted to take that job at that point, where Dable and
Yeah.
Schoen ostensibly had half their body out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. You know
You
what?
know,
It is what it is.
Raw, thank you, says, will the O be more like 2022 or like an air raid? I was thinking maybe a little bit more like 2022 with different rushing concepts, not as much counter. The Giants use a little bit more counter back then, depending on the front that they face. But I also think there will be air raid concepts, and by that, spread some things out. The Giants, they used a lot of spread against Dallas. I don't know if that was just matchup dependent and contingent on stressing those deep zones, the deep thirds and the deep fourths and the deep halves that Matt Eberflus's defense. But I could see simple, like I would love to see air raid concepts that are just more simplistic, where you just go read your progression and then you find the drag underneath as your check down, and you have that, right? You spread the defense out a little bit. I would not be opposed to that, but I would say more like 2022, which had some air raid principles to it, but not a ton.
Yeah, I think they'll mix in some of the stuff that he did well at Ole Miss for sure, but it all kind of depends on a few things. One, is this offensive line performing at a level where they can trust that? And two, like I always think, like, to be this true drop back vertical passing attack that has air raid concepts and has your quarterback kind of sitting in the gun, you really need a ultra talent at the quarterback position. The only teams I can really see doing it, even like the team that did it best, like for a while, which was the Bills with Josh Allen, they don't even run it anymore, really, with Joe Brady. And Joe Brady talked about that this week. He's like, I think a lot of times in the NFL, 90% of the coordinators right now are so focused on explosive plays, and we've kind of changed the game a little bit by not making that a big part of what we do, and it has worked for them. Now they have a great offensive line that's like top 7 in yards created. The Giants don't. They have James Cook, who's a better running back than Scadaboo and Tracy. Let's be honest about that. And so it's a little bit different. So the Giants might have to, but I do wonder if Dart's going to be able to do the things he did at Ole Miss from that standpoint, because he doesn't have the same kind of arm as like a Herbert or an Allen.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So I do hope, though, like, remember we talked a lot about when the Giants hired Dable, like, let's see some Y cross from this. And we see that sometimes with Theo Johnson going across the field, but I don't feel like that's been a staple, I feel like some of the air raid concepts that have more so been staples in the offense is mesh, right. Sit, stick, sail. And those are like kind of ubiquitous concepts anyways,
Right. And we'll see all of that, by the way, with Dart, especially the sail route side. But the thing is, when it comes to that, like, we said that, Nick, because we broke down Dable's film with the Bills when he was their coordinator. But the problem with that is, like, having Josh Allen, you have a guy who can just take those deep drops, sit, and then have the pass rush break on him, and then back foot bang a ball 25 yards intermediate that's like ripping into that, that's all arm talent. Like, I love Dart, but he doesn't have that kind of talent at all, for arm talent at all. Let's be perfectly clear about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Jaxson Dart is in that top echelon of arm talent. He's in that tier below that, or like he's probably towards the bottom of the tier below that, which is still, I would say, good arm talent.
Like a Romo, like a Tony Romo type arm talent.
Now, good arm talent, but like some of these aliens in the league are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not Josh Allen.
Larry, thank you so much, buddy. Says, I worry. So do I. Last year's Malik said it's not the quarterback, and that's the only guy they've replaced, and they're replacing one again.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Malik Neighbors did say that in a post-game presser, and it kind of just got swept under the rug, right? Like, it's pretty massive indictment on the coaching staff.
Oh, 100. That's why I was one of the reasons why I was so surprised that they brought him back. You had comments like that. You had comments from even receivers who can't find the football field, like Jalen Hyatt, that were pointing fingers at the coaching staff. And that year, that albatross of a year, followed the 2023 season when the defensive coordinator and his staff was turning on. So, like, I thought for sure, like, they must love themselves some Brian Dable, man, or they just did not want to give it the 2 and done.
Didn't want to do it again.
Yeah, they must.
We need to try something this time. We need to try to let it ride out this time.
Okay,
keep doing the 2 and done.
I wish this wasn't live so I can edit John Mara's face. I gotta create a overnail thumbnail to put on whenever we just talk in the John Mara voice. All right. Hey, Randy 131, thank you so much. Says Dan's refrigerator needs an update for Dart.
Yeah, what's your suggestion? We got some new stuff up there. We have a few Grateful Dead things up there. 3 Grateful Deads. We got Badgers. We got Giants. And we got that 0-3. I think you can kind of see with those shitty magnets. That was really just one of the. That's a 3.
I mean, it's a terrible idea by you. That was a really bad idea by you.
Well, what's the dart idea? Should I spell out dart with the magnets that nobody can see because they're white?
No. I mean, I was thinking, no, I only thought this because it's college. You have 2 college football things there, but putting an Ole Miss thing up there, but it wouldn't just be for Dart. It would be for Eli as well.
Yeah,
so,
there's not a chance.
But I think you could do
Badger
better.
fan, I would ever put up an Ole Miss thing.
Well, it's the SEC. Who cares?
When you're a Badgers fan, you're a Wisconsin Badgers fan. You don't just put up other schools. That's not even within the realm of consideration.
Okay, maybe put a dartboard on the brick wall behind you.
That's something I can consider. We throw darts at it if he does good, or we come up with some fun game to play darts with.
Oh, let's spitball this. We put the dartboard up on the brick wall behind you, and then we make you throw darts at the board, and that's how we predict if Jaxson Dart will do well.
Problem is, I'm horrible at darts, so that's just not a good sign for us predicting good things. Jaxson Dart.
Very consistent with what we've seen from the New York Giants for a while.
Yeah.
What about pool? Are you a pool guy?
Not a good pool player either. Only played like 12 to 15 times, but I'm not a good pool player.
Gotcha.
Sadly.
Doug,
ping pong.
Oh, you are good. Dan is nasty at ping pong. So Dan and I have played ping pong, and he is a tough guy.
Oh yeah, we've had some great matches.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as good as Dan at ping pong, but I can play. I can
you can play for someone who doesn't have tennis background.
Yeah, for that exactly. But Dan's nice. Dan's nice at tennis too. He will.
Tennis is my game.
He'll beat some
great match today against a better player than me. I won the first set 6-2. Did lose the second set 6-4, but he's a better player than me, so that's a win in my book.
Hey, respect, man.
Yeah.
But his golf game sucks. All right, Doug, what's going on there?
Not anymore. Down to a 15-1 handicap these days.
I had no idea what that means, but
it's good. It's the best I've ever been.
I'm happy for you.
Thank
Behind a bad offensive line, Doug says, their best offensive lineman is not fully healthy and a coaching staff that cannot adjust. I hate this for Jaxson.
Well, let's be clear, Doug. We don't know if their best offensive lineman is not fully healthy. He looked freaking good in the game, okay? So it might just be, we said we're giving him 25 snaps. That's the plan, and we just stick to the plan. It might have not been, I'm sore, coach, or I need to come out, coach. We don't know that from Thomas. So let's wait to see this week if that's the case.
His last play, I believe, was the touchdown run, and he was jumping up and down celebrating on it.
Yeah. I'm expecting Andrew Thomas to play every snap this weekend.
But to his point, I still don't love the situation necessarily.
Crazy
for Jaxson Dart.
You're throwing him against the stone best defensive coordinator so far in the league this year, and the number 1 ranked defense. It's not what you usually hope for.
No, it's not. Igor, thank you, buddy. He says, what are you concerned about with the Chargers game? That Dart will throw for 39 yards and 2 interceptions in the first half?
He'll have more than 39 yards, I hope.
Yeah, he'll have some yards on the ground too.
Yeah. I mean, just what we're concerned about is just that this defense has been great and their coordinator has been great, and they have a lot of talent that they're finally maximizing, which they never did under Brandon Staley.
Yes, and that they'll look. This is where it sucks too. Like Henley, like a player like that, he can cover the 3 up if the Giants want to go 3 by 1 and try to abuse the slot, so they can be in heavier quote unquote personnel against our 11 personnel packages to prevent us from doing any kind of tricks, right? With the running game, running against a lighter front, because he is a linebacker who is light and can also carry the 3 if you need him to.
Right.
And I think he'd blanket a dude like Theo Johnson. So that Minter more than likely is going to try to eliminate Malik Neighbors as the threat. And I think that's what the entire NFL is going to do if they're playing the New York Giants.
I know.
So it's going to be Wandell underneath. It's going to be Jaxson Dart's legs, but Henley's going to be probably tight in with the spying as well. So It's going to be an interesting chess match. Again, we went through the chess match in last week's game against the Chiefs, and it's not like the Giants are just I don't know how to make adjustments. We suck. It's just their adjustments were handled easily. That's what it is, right? And we need to see more adjustments off of that. That's what I'm dubious about. Tuto, thank you very much. Said much respect, Kings of New York Giants, Nick and
Dan. New York.
Woo-woo. And all diehard Giant fans across the pond. Greetings from our entire team currently in Edinburgh. You are still there.
Nice.
That's crazy. He was
Edinburgh's
there.
Scotland?
Yes. That's
I need to
awesome.
get out there. Apparently, there's some unbelievable golf out there.
Yeah, that's the reason you want to go out there. Something that
Essentially, that's the main reason I want to go to Scotland. Yes.
you don't want to immerse yourself in the culture, drink some
Culture's
brew.
a close second, but no,
Okay.
the golf is first.
Please slap Fat F Dumbo.
What is that?
I don't know. I
All
can
right.
assume, but all I know is Tuto's the man, and I hope you're kicking some ass out there. And I thought that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Tuto, you're the man though, bud. And he
He's
comes
lost
back
a lot
with
of weight though. The Ozempic is working for him.
I thought it was Pilates. You think it was Ozempic?
Yeah, Pilates, my ass. That was Ozempic for sure.
He's looked like he put on a couple more LBs though.
He did put him back on, which is more reason why I think he went on Ozempic to get them off.
Okay. When pain, blood, and struggles is all you know, fighting on battleground becomes natural and quitting becomes impossible. You can't ever beat a man who doesn't know how to quit. Tuto with the fist and the Italian flag. Tuto. Yeah.
Dude, you just made my night, man. This is my favorite comment of all time in the history of our show. And don't take this the wrong way, but I absolutely love that you just quoted yourself in this comment, Tuto. That was unbelievable. See the parentheses, Tuto. You quoted yourself. Unbelievable. Well done, man.
Tuto's
well
the
done.
man. Tuto,
you are the man. We appreciate
Never
you.
stop being Tuto. Thank you, buddy. H50 Pharaoh. Thank you so much for the generous donation, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has donated via the super chat. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. He says, I know it's early. Who could we get as head coach next year? Mike McCarthy.
Hell no.
Brian Flores, possibly. But
but we can't because we sued him.
Cliff Kingsbury, John Gruden.
But no as a head coach.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, interesting for sure. But it didn't really work out in Arizona. John Gruden, I'd be interested. Rex Ryan, I don't think Mara would ever do that.
I am interested in Rex Ryan if we can get Shanahan McVay OC.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great, dude? Oh,
I agree with you.
I know so many Giant fans who would have to just flip, like my dad. My dad hated Rex Ryan when he was the J. He's always talking about the Giants. Screw that guy. Worry about your team. That's what my dad would say. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then Farrell also said, keep Carmen Brasillo. Offensive line has been better with him. AP for DC. Antonio Pierce. Yeah.
I don't mind that idea. As far as Lane Kiffin, I think that would be a disaster. I don't want to really entertain that. Ole Miss head coach, Jaxson Dart's coach. I just don't believe in Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is a perfect college coach. That's exactly what he is. I do not think he's an NFL coach.
All righty. Great name. Breston Nipples says, I've always said Dable is only a good coach when he has control of everything at all times. His quarterback skill set, i.e. his quarterback skill set. Hoping Dart will open the playbook.
Well, maybe you'll be right. I don't think Dable has ever proved to be a good coach yet at this point in his career.
I think he did in 2022 to some degree.
To some degree, but I think a lot of that was wink.
I think it was wink, opportunistic defense. I got to give credit to the head coach because he was leading the operation. He did win Coach of the Year for what that's worth. And the Giants, that's the only time during the Dable era that we've seen the Giants win close games.
I know, yeah.
And I know some of them were really fluky, like week one. Some of them were, but you're still finding a way to put yourself in a position, and then you're actually finishing. We haven't seen that since 2022.
True, very true.
Igor, thanks, buddy, says, I have a theory that Schoen and Dable were kept because Mara wanted to spite the fans and not show that they affected his decision when they flew the planes asking for their firing. Thoughts?
I don't personally subscribe to that theory at all, unfortunately.
No.
I respect it, just not, I don't believe it.
Yeah, neither do I. I think John Mara would do anything to win, and he truly believes that those guys had a vision, and they laid the vision out, and he bought into the vision. And I also think he didn't want to fire other people. And there weren't great options out there. I think it was all of those things.
And he needs the next time this comes up, if it is with this regime currently, and they need to make a change this offseason, they need to go about it in a different way, whether that be hiring an outside source an outside team to source it out. Either way, it's something that I don't expect, but I hope he's already started. And that doesn't mean he has to move on from these two, but it's something that you should start in a season like this. You should start at least considering it in September and November, because that's not what they did last time. And it's not the right way to go about it. You need to have foresight on these issues. You can't just be up, right now we're firing him. Now what do we do? And let's just go with it. And I honestly think that may not be what happened last time. I think they probably had Joe Schoen kind of pinpointed for a while because of the connection with Buffalo, but and Gelman was there before, but it just needs to be a better process this time.
I felt like the process, I mean, we applauded the process at the time to some degree. And I didn't hate that. It's just the result has been very bad. Like the process of going outside of the building to hire people, because that was our big criticism at that time, because the Giants are such a insular organization, hiring guys from their own branch, and neither of these guys were truly like branches off of the giant tree like a Dave Gettleman was, for instance.
I'm trying to look right now at the other GMs who were hired in the exact years.
It was Ryan. It was Ryan Pace of
Ryan Pace with the Bears who didn't do a good, or Ryan Poles with the Bears, right?
Poles, yes, yeah. Good call. Yes,
who has not done a good job in my opinion. He has done I like what he did this offseason, just spending like crazy on the O-line and trading for a great offensive lineman with the Chiefs. That was very smart way to do it, but I have not liked his roster management. You have Kwesi Adofo-Mensah with the Vikings, who has been amazing, literally an amazing GM. So he was clearly better than Joe Schoen. Ziegler with the Raiders, that was a nightmare disaster for them, but they're the Raiders. And was there anyone else hired to be GM that exact year? I'm not sure. I think that might have been it. So they missed on the Vikings, dude.
Yes, and I don't know exactly like when they were hired, like who was hired first and all that.
Right. And the Giants were even in. I think they were just locked in on Schoen.
Might have been, because this is where like this might refute my point that I previously made. But Schoen was not in the building, so I guess it doesn't. But Parcells, I believe, advocated heavily for Joe Schoen, if I'm not mistaken, right, from their time in Miami.
Yeah, and they love anything Parcells has to tell
exactly. Them. So interesting little side nugget there. Lacey, thank you so much. With Dart now starting, is this going to open this offense and playbook up and show us the full offense Dable's been wanting to run? Also, with Tracy injury, Turbo gets called up, helps the screen game. I think Turbo will get called up, and it will be a lot of Cam Scatterbo, a lot of motor, and maybe like a play designed to Miller. Maybe they put Miller on special teams. It's interesting. With Tracy out, you're probably not going to put Singletary on special team. Like, I don't think he would be the returner now. He's going to have a little bit more of a role, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. And I would like to see a Turbo screen, but how many snaps are you going to give the Turbo? You're going to put him out and throw one screen at him. It's probably going to be read pretty easily by the Chargers defense. So
they don't blitz a lot, which is a problem for
that is a
screen game.
That is a problem. And look, I don't like that. In theory, your statement makes sense, and it's something Dan and I have already went back and forth on, but we just don't know like how much is in that. Like, you could open up and there might not be any words, It's like, let's open up this playbook and be like, oh fuck, there's nothing here. Like, what the hell? Like that could realistically be the outcome. But in theory, yes, I think
in theory it should. It should. We'll see if it does. And I wouldn't expect that to start this week against the Chargers. This is, again, we've gone over it. Probably in my mind will be their most difficult matchup defensively that they play all year for Dart's first start as a pro.
Oh, gotta love it. And here's our last super from EX Plix. Thank you. Says, what about Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame for head coach? Dan, you might have a little bit more insight than I would with this.
I think you might, because you watch Notre Dame with your dad and stuff. I don't have much insight on Marcus Freeman.
I don't from an X's and O's standpoint. Like I know Marcus Freeman is a very good recruiter. That doesn't really help us that much at the NFL level, but I'd kind of be talking out of my ass if I gave a really sound opinion.
Same.
So I'll reserve it.
So, yeah. All right. Anything else you want to touch on with Jaxson Dart coming into the mix, Nick?
Yes, I want to touch on these breast and nipples right here. He also asked, well, I definitely don't think Dable is a good coach.
Breast and nipples. Nice.
Okay. He says, and thank you for the super. Well, I definitely don't think Dable is a good coach. I just think he absolutely needs his guys in there to show competence. He shuts down otherwise.
Maybe. I mean, you might be right. We'll see. I mean, this is it, right? Because he's finally got his guy. I mean, you could argue, I guess, that Russ wasn't his guy, though they did sign him. But obviously, Daniel Jones was not his guy. He did a bad job with Jones, and they never meshed together. So we'll see. You might be right. Maybe having Dart, his guy, does change who he is as a coach. I hope so, right? Because that means we'll win games. Like, it's the hope for sure.
That is the hope.
Oh, all right. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us on the Big Blue Banter podcast. Exciting times. Like, at the very minimum, we get to break down Jaxson Dart tape for the all 22 pods. Those should be hopefully appointment viewing for you guys, and we're excited to do them. I'm excited to watch Dart tape. It's going to be so freaking awesome to watch a rookie first round quarterback tape. We've never had that experience, Nick, on this team at least. So exciting times. I have my expectations insanely low for this first game just because it is the Chargers, but I hope he gets to shake off some of the rust, shake off some of the nerves, and then maybe this is a good thing and it sets him up for his week 2 matchup against the Saints where he should be able to have some success against that defense. So either way, it's going to be exciting. For all you going to the game this current weekend, do not have the cheesesteak. It was terrible, just a terrible, sad cheesesteak. But then again, if you're up in the third tier where I am, there's not many other options. It's hot dogs, it's those frozen chicken fingers, and it's really the most pathetic, absolutely pathetic concession stand you'll ever find in a pro stadium. And despite being pathetic, it's at big prices. So just really all around terrible job that you need to improve there, Mara. So fix that, make it for the other people, bring back the buffalo chicken mac and cheese and stuff like that. But more importantly, let's hope Jaxson Dart plays well in his first game, because it's going to be so exciting, Nick, if he actually plays well against this ridiculously tough defense and coordinator, because then it's like, oh, baby, we might have something.
I mean, that would just invigorate this entire season, right? If they pulled off an upset against the Chargers after the Chargers were running through these other teams, and Jaxson Dart was able to do that, and it was like a high-scoring game where Dart had to overcome that defense, dude, that is put it in all of our veins. Like, we are going to be hyped. That film review would be great, dude. Like, that would be an excellent for all of us. But that is a tough and tall task.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. We need that. Leave a comment, leave a rating, review on Spotify and iTunes. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk to you soon.